Welcome again to another edition of Inform Kenya, the Nairobi Baptist Civic Education Platform. And we are looking at informing ourselves as believers and as Kenyans, how best for us to carry out our responsibility in this period running up to the elections, and of course during the elections themselves. And so we have been interviewing a number of people from different angles in this political sphere, just to help us better understand how can we choose in a more informed kind of way. Our guest today is part of us as Nairobi Baptist Church. She is a member of a number of years, actually. And amongst other roles, Mrs. Pauline Mwatu is a managing partner of Foresight Global, a marketing and research and advisory company. She previously worked with Ipsos Kenya, which most of us will probably be familiar with in the area of opinion polls. Today we welcome her to just give us an idea about some of these things in relation to opinion polls. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Okay. Kindly give us a brief. What is Foresight Global about?
Okay. Foresight Global is a marketing and social research company. It's domiciled in UAE, to be specific, in Dubai. We are also in Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
We are also in India. India is like our innovation hub.
Okay.
So what we do, we've moved from traditional research, and by traditional I mean pen and paper, where would come into your house and ask you what you think about this political party, what you think about this political candidate, all that. And we are now moving and leveraging on digital to actually provide insights, information, and data. So that's what we are doing. So in Africa, we started in 2019.
Yeah.
So in Africa, we have offices here in Kenya, in Tanzania, in Nigeria, and in West Africa.
Okay.
So our biggest strengths are actually leveraging on technology to meet expectations, because people make decisions based on data.
Okay.
So how can we give you quick turnaround data that will help me make informed decisions?
Okay.
Yes.
Now, when you're doing digital, and right now there's a lot of talk about privacy and things like that, how are you able to carry out your research on a digital platform and yet maintain the individual's privacy?
Okay. How we do that is that, one, we are members of umbrella bodies like NACOSTI locally. NACOSTI is under the Ministry of Education, and it gives us guidelines on how to conduct market research.
Okay.
And these guidelines are actually have data protection acts in it. And those who are familiar with what is happening in the data protection space, they've rolled out a bill and is into place, in fact, protecting the consumer against the use of your data for such kind of sharing of information to the public or that kind of thing. So what we are doing is, one, ensuring that we put in place data protection activities to ensure that you're protected in all information you give us.
Okay.
And secondly, we are members of SOMAR. SOMAR is a global organization and an umbrella body that gives guidelines and code of ethics on how to conduct research globally.
Okay.
So that's what we are doing, and any decisions we make, even like if we come to you, Reverend Pinto, and want to ask you information, is on your consent, and again we tell you where this particular information is going to be used to.
Okay.
And then another thing, when it comes to data protection, we don't go outside there and say that Reverend Pinto gave us this information and that these are his sentiments. We will lap them together and give them in a collated form, in an aggregate format, and we will say that a Kenyan aged this particular age, so giving out and outlining demographics, these are their sentiments.
Okay.
So you are presenting a persona in this particular market.
Yes.
That's how we're giving the information and protecting you.
Okay.
Yes.
Does Foresight Global have any role in the politics of Kenya? If it does, what kind of role?
Yes, we do. So what we've done, and you look at when I'll speak towards opinion polls. Opinion poll is a segment of what we call SPEC. SPEC is social, political, economic, and cultural research.
Okay.
So that is a whole spectrum. So political, you see, it fits
It's
under
just-
social.
yes.
It's such a small segment.
Yes.
Then you see a lot of noise on opinion polls towards elections, or when there is a referendum, or when they're trying to roll in some, they want public participation in some ideas. So this is the time that you'll hear a lot of that happening.
Yes.
And you'll hear a lot of people mushrooming names and brands that you've never heard about. So what role does Foresight play? We are not in traditional opinion polling. So we partner with opinion pollsters, and what we do, we leverage on social media to add value to the data that is being collected.
Okay.
How do we do that? We know that social media is a big platform right now.
Yeah.
I mean, if I ask you, when was the last time you're in social media?
Yes.
You'll tell me a few minutes ago.
Yes.
Today. I ask another person, they'll say the same. So it's an important part of life. In fact, I was talking to somebody who said, when you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs,
Yes.
I mean, access to data
Yes.
should be there, as in access to food and, home,
Yes.
shelter and
Yes.
air and all that. So it
Yes.
becomes a very important part of people. So we've taken that aspect on where the world is leading to digital. So we've leveraged on digital platform to partner with opinion pollsters and give them data that is based on social listening.
Okay.
So what is social listening? So social listening is what is happening really on social media. Social media platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and all that we can actually come into place and in public out there. Because right now, if you post something in Facebook and you go look for work, I'm sure if somebody tagged you and something you commented, it will come.
Yes.
History tends to repeat itself.
Yes.
That's what they say. So what we do is search keywords in social media and say, for instance, I pick political party. I don't want to be skewed in mentioning any political party in this forum.
Yes.
Let's say political party X,
Yes.
or a political candidate, AB. So what are the sentiments being mentioned on social media about it? So even when the pollsters are coming and standing in the podium and going on mainstream media and saying, Reverend Callisto is leading at 80% in Nairobi as the Kenya potential governor, I'm praying for you. That is a prayer from to you.
Yeah.
So if I can use that example.
Yeah.
So what we do is just pick your sentiments. What are people saying about you? Is there something that you've done that is going to impact on you negatively, even when
Yes.
your numbers are high? So we come in to give the whys, the reasons, the perspectives of individuals out there. So
Okay.
that's what we do. So we have
Okay.
an existing platform. We call it Anavisio. So it's a platform that picks keywords on social media and tries to analyze what are the themes, the perception, the expressions coming out
Okay.
from a social perspective.
So in other words, what Foresight is doing is helping the opinion pollsters
Yes.
to do their work.
Yes.
Okay,
So just
interesting.
adding value to the numbers.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do opinion polls have a significant impact on the outcome in the political scene in Kenya?
They do. Absolutely, they do. Because if I can just use this analogy, the other day I was down coast and I'm just driving from the airport and you look at the billboards and you just see political candidates all around. And I can tell you that billboard is not 10 shillings. That billboard cost to put there for months, it's millions and millions of money. So if Pauline is intending to be the governor of Mombasa at some time, I'd like to hear how I'm performing in
Yes.
some regions.
Yes.
Because it's like an ROI, return on investments. I've made noise about myself. I've sent out my PR team to make noise. I've leveraged on, let's say, Citizen TV to talk about me. So I'd like to know against my opponent, who is Reverend Pinto, where are you? Am I trailing? Am I number one? Am I number two? It helps me make decisions as a candidate.
Yes.
That is on the point of the political arena. What about for the Kenyan mwananchi, the common mwananchi? It also helps you really know what the environment is all about.
Yes.
What is really happening? What is the atmosphere about? So you want to understand this person is leading here.
Yes.
So what we try to do is not really give you 100% to make you make a decision based on that particular candidate that you have, but just give you like a sense, a guide, a direction of what is really happening in the political arena.
Okay.
That's what we do.
So, for example, then, let me begin with the candidate side.
Yes.
So, as a candidate, if I see that I am trailing, then that would inform my next course of action
Correct.
in the campaign period?
Correct.
Okay.
It really does.
Now, from the voter's perspective, what would be the way to respond? You know, for example, if I have, let's go with candidate AB that you mentioned,
Yes.
in Party X, and this candidate is trailing in the opinion polls.
Yes.
Do I jump ship and support, you know, the opponent who's leading, or what do I do with my preferred candidate trailing as a voter? What kind of response would a voter have to that?
You see, thank you for that question. I'll start by answering like this, and I'll bring in a very basic example. As a parent, you're looking for a school, isn't it? And you have, like, the school have ranked, they normally rank themselves, key leading international school, key leading public schools. You don't make a decision based on the school that is number one.
Yes.
What do you make a decision based on? On yourself. What is my budget?
Yes.
What is the performance of the school? What is the school promising me? So as a Kenyan, I'd advise all Kenyans, let's do the same when making these decisions. Don't jump ship because I have come and candidate AB has 80% in this particular region in Nairobi. So my candidate is maybe 12%. So I'm jumping ship because of that. So what it does is just, you know, it is here, you know, the candidate AB is here, but what else is this other candidate who is 12% promising you that fits into your lifestyle and what you're looking for that can help you make a decision.
Okay.
So political opinion polls do not like tell you this is black and white, use this. If I might just bring to a Christian lifestyle, it is not the true gospel.
Yes.
It just directs you to make a decision.
Okay.
But even when you're making that decision, make an informed decision,
On the
not
candidate.
based on the numbers.
Okay.
Because one thing, if you can allow me to add, during this particular time I mentioned, you'll hear a lot of opinion posters coming up.
Yes.
And the other day I was just listening to radio, and one radio station just published their own opinion polls. I mean, opinion poll is not coming and asking you a question and asking you, where do you rate AB? If elections were to be held today, would you vote for AB?
Yes.
And people just tick a box,
Yes.
and you see them presenting.
Yeah.
No, there's a lot of scientific procedures that have to come to play when it comes to research. And what we say is that not all information is data.
Yes.
Yes, you just have to be guided. And again, research is not about asking a question. Yeah, a question is different from research.
Yes.
What research does is we collect the data, we extrapolate with certain demographics, that when we come and say that national representative, we've looked at age, we've looked at gender, we've looked at other demographics. Is it about setting? When I say setting, is it urban or rural?
Yeah.
When I say region, is it central? Is it western? Is it coast region? And all that. So we actually have to map scientifically to the population.
Okay.
Right now, the projected population of Kenya is 55, to 2020 estimate from Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. So when we take our sample size from for opinion polls, to conduct opinion polls, we ensure that this sample size is representative to the population. We
Okay.
can actually map to the population.
Okay.
And again, the other thing is a professional opinion pollster will actually introduce,
Yes.
before even they give you the numbers of the different candidates, will tell you the methodology they used,
Okay.
the sample size, the distribution of the sample size, and the margin of error.
Okay.
The margin of error for any perfect opinion poll and any research conducted very well in the you know, like really laid down procedures of any research should be plus or negative 2%.
Oh. Okay.
So if today we were to conduct our elections today, and we say our candidate AB in Kenya as 80%, the exact result we get from the voters from IEBC should be actually a reflection of what the opinion poll have given. So
Okay.
that's why it should be conducted very well.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
and that's why the scientific aspect of it is very important.
Okay.
Yes.
So you've actually answered what was going to be my next question.
Yes.
But the follow through on that is, why are there then significant differences beyond, you know, what, you know, like you said, a media house will publish its own. But there are those companies that this is their bread and butter. Why do we still see significant differences? Because if the margin of error is about 2%, as you say, but sometimes we see that there's like a 4-5% difference in what one pollster is saying vis-a-vis another. Why is that?
Okay. One of the main things that can be a contributor is the time. If I conduct research last week and analyze my data this week, and you conduct your research this week, and you analyze your data next week, a lot has happened.
Okay.
So opinions have shifted.
Okay.
That is one. The timing is very critical because Kenyans, we are a peculiar people. We tend to hear what is happening on the media. We tend to hear what is happening through word of mouth, through our social platform, may it be WhatsApp. Our colleagues influence what we think. So yesterday, my thinking might not be the one that is being influenced by my decision today. So that's one thing to look at. The other thing is, as I mentioned, is the methodology. One, there's somebody who will do what we call computer-assisted telephonic interviews. So I have a database of 10,000 Kenyans. So I will call them. And then, so the different demographics really are different, are really differ because of the database that I have. I might not be able to map the demographics of my database to what is in the population. You get it? And then the other thing, when I call you right now and I'm asking you about information, you tend to answer me very quickly. Because one, we know the security issues when it comes to just a call, and I want to know about your political stand. You'll be wondering, who's this Pauline? So you'll answer me quickly. You won't think about it. You get it? So if you are to rank candidate AB, you'll be like, yes, I would vote for that candidate today. Then when I come to you physically, and I'm using what we call computer-assisted personal interviews. So it's just a gadget. We use an iPad or even a phone, and then I'm just asking you the questions. It's face-to-face. There's that trust. So you'll tend to open up. So I'll get more information from you as opposed to phone. So what I'm trying to say is that different methodologies really affect. But the most important bit for opinion pollsters is to introduce that before even taking us to the numbers. So what the media does not capture, the media focuses on the numbers. But telling us what happened behind the scenes is lacking. So what I can just actually advise my fellow Kenyans, just interrogate what really went through. And again, the other thing, even I think I preempted this in one of our discussion with you, is that sometimes, let me use my own example, and it's not that I do that. I'm just using my example just to drive the point home. Is that you know, like I sit in a forum where I sit in a board where we bring all opinion pollsters together. And that is under Marketing and Social Research Association. So I sit in the board, and what MSRA has done, that is the abbreviation, is to give them, you know, code of ethics on how to conduct that. So one of the code of ethics is that first, before you publish, you should be registered with NACOSTI. That is a government body. Because it gives you the regulations. And you should actually take us through what your methodology is and publish and tell us your margin of error. So we look at that. Then again, what again we do is that to ensure that not every player comes to play and just give out data there. So what you find out is that some people don't even go to the field. So they'll pick the different numbers and brand their logo. So for me, like Pauline, I'm in the PR team of candidate AB, so I know he's trailing. So what I will do, I will switch the 8% and add a 0 to be 80, and then put there on my WhatsApp group, and it will go viral. I mean, we're in WhatsApp group where we have 200 plus people. You can imagine you're one of the members of the WhatsApp group. I sent it to you. You send it to another 200 people. The 200 people, you know, the multiplication effect. All that will go viral, and probably it's fake. So what we do even as an association is to ensure when we pick this fake information, we speak out. Another thing also, as Foresight, what we do, we track all that. So if I find that some data that is similar to what you've published, then I'll interrogate and I'll share with you. So when I share with you, the objective is to let you tell the public that this is fake data. So we should be, as Kenyans, be cognizant of fake data outside there. So that sounds like what has become more popularly known as fact checker. So that then people know that this information that was circulated over the last 2-3 days is actually fake information.
Okay, so then my responsibility as a potential voter
Yes.
is interrogate whatever is
Yes.
coming through,
Yes.
and not just assume every opinion poll is, you called it true gospel.
Yes.
There's something you mentioned, and I'm curious to hear more on it. Do Kenyan voters actually give their true political position to opinion pollsters?
It's very interesting you brought that aspect. And I'd actually encourage people to read the Bradley effect. The Bradley effect is a theory that was brought up in the US. And this is during the elections where, there was, allow me to use this, and I'm not being racist, there was a black candidate, political candidate, and there was a white one. So depending on the person coming to ask me the questions, if Reverend Pinto was white, and you come and ask me, if elections were to be held today, which political candidate would you vote? And I'm looking at you and you're white. Of course, I'll select white. You know, that
Yes.
empathy.
Yes.
But if you're black and you come and ask me that question, then I'll think and say, if I say white, how would you judge me? You
Yes.
get it?
Yes.
So I'll tick black.
Yeah.
So you see that effect.
Yes.
So it's a Bradley effect. And it's a theory that we use so much on opinion polls. And I'll encourage Kenyans to read about it. So that's why I was saying opinion polls, some Kenyans, and we've just said that, that's why, one, we give margin of error. And that's why we say opinion poll is not the true gospel. It
Yes.
just guides you to make
Yeah.
a decision.
Yes.
You know, like even in a boardroom setting, you want to make a decision.
Yes.
Let me move into maybe a manufacturer or something like that. Let me use an example of a very popular company, Coca-Cola. And they have Coke as a drink.
Yeah.
So they'd like to brand it this way. They want it to be black, to be red, and a touch of maybe a writing and a signature. Really a trademark for themselves.
Yes.
And they go outside and they ask the market, what do you think about this product? You see, you have to have two informed side.
Yes.
One from the company strategy,
Yes.
and one from the market. Where do they meet in the middle? So that's what opinion poll is. Where
Okay.
do you meet in the middle?
Okay.
So that's one thing that people need to know about it.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting, interesting aspect, the Bradley effect.
Yes.
I could stretch it in another direction, but I don't think we'll have time to do that. The views of Kenyans in matters gender, are those some of the things that opinion pollsters have done research on?
A very important question. Gender is a topical issue. People are talking about it everywhere. And if I may just start from a background of a home setting, who is the key decision maker?
Yeah.
It's the head of the family. You can imagine I'm seated as a wife at home, and my husband is supporting this particular candidate with all his strength, with all his might. Day and night he's talking about this candidate. Then here I am serving him food, and I'm here praising this particular opponent. You can imagine that food I served him, he can't eat.
Yes.
So there's still those issues happening. Although we tend to sweep them under the carpet, they're still happening. But let me come back to your question. Matters gender. Yes. Opinion poll forms a study, a part of a study that we call SPEC. And what is SPEC? SPEC is social, political, economic, and cultural study. So it's SPEC. So we look at a 360 degree of a society. What are the subtle issues affecting them? What are the political issues affecting them? Do we give them a forum to air their views? And that is where opinion poll comes in.
Okay.
Economic. What are the living standards? What is the job status here? And KNBS, the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, is doing a lot of work around the economic aspect of it. Then we come to cultural. A lot of anthropologists are doing a lot of studies on anthropology. So opinion poll has taken a segment of it.
Okay.
So now what we need to do is actually, as key decision makers when it comes to gender, is to look at 360 degree, picking from social, picking from economic, because even gender issues is being discussed on economic forums. Empower a woman, you empower the whole family. That is what is being said, our whole generation, sorry.
Yes.
So it's just picking that what is being said on political forum in terms of when you look at opinion polls. I know for us what we focus in is more of candidates.
Yes.
But also when you look at, when we go higher up on presidential candidates, we look at the way they divide in terms of region, in terms of setting. You say that in this region, political candidate A is high, but also what we lack to focus on is in gender.
Okay.
Yeah, I know right now what is really happening. People are really happy about what one political party has done by integrating a woman into it. You get it? So they're happy about it. But the key question I can ask Kenyans, so you're happy. So what are the promises? How can we, like toothpick, the promises they are in uplifting the I don't want to use women, but in uplifting some of these gender issues that we're facing as a society. So it's really important to look at everything in a 360-degree approach.
Okay.
Yes.
In other words, there's a way that we can positively utilize
Yes.
the research that
Yes.
is out there
Yes.
in order to then better inform ourselves
Yes.
beyond just the basic aspects that are out there.
Yes. And just to add, when these numbers come, and what we tend to pick is the totality, the
Yes.
global overview.
Yes.
But behind the global overview, there's the breakdowns. So, like I mentioned, we try to map the data to the population, and the population has demographics.
Yes.
It has the gender,
Yes.
male, female.
Yes.
It has the age. So we
Yes.
need also to look at, when you look at the data, don't look at it in totality. So look at even into the breakouts. Like what is really, does it mean in terms of gender?
Yeah.
How many female, how many male voted for this particular candidate in this particular region, in this particular age group? So you need to analyze it like that in totality.
Okay.
And I'm sure political analysts are doing that very well.
Okay.
Yes.
There are those who claim that there are opinion polls for hire. Is there truth to that allegation? And if there is, how then can the voter be able to sift, the skewed opinion polls from the ones that are a lot closer to the actual?
Okay. Let me start by answering your second question. What can we do about it? What we can do about it as responsible citizens is to ensure that we listen to opinion polls from, like a credible data, a credible data source. You've heard about different brands.
Yeah.
If you allow me to mention them, you've heard about Infotrack, you've heard about Ipsos, you've heard about TFAM, and there are others that do opinion polls.
Yeah.
They do it in a scientific way.
Okay.
But of late, you've seen like somebody coming in, like, I'm just picking in randomly, Mr. X and Sons opinion polls, Mrs. So and Sons opinion polls. So if you are not aware and you've never heard them before, pick that data with like a pinch of salt. Be very careful even when sharing that information, because one, opinion poll is done in a scientific way.
Yes.
So those people who go out there and just send an SMS for you to answer, I cannot map it to the population.
Yes.
It's not a true representation. And really, just an analogy from home is that when you're cooking rice, as a woman in the house, you ensure that the sufuria itself sits in the middle of where the fire is coming from.
Yes.
Why do we do that? We do that to make sure that the rice is evenly cooked. So one side is not cooked more than the other side. The water is evenly represented, isn't it?
Yeah.
The fire, I mean. Then when we want to know the rice is cooked, what do?
You dip.
You dip, or just take a spoon and just taste like a few grains of rice, and then you'll know. So what is opinion poll?
Yeah.
Opinion poll is just that spoon that the whole sufuria, you've just picked a little sample, and that's what you're doing.
Okay.
So where you've picked, if your fire and your water is equally distributed, and those are the demographics I'm talking about, the psychographics I'm talking about,
Yes.
and that forms the basis of the starting point. If they're equally correct, then your results will be a true representation of what is really happening on the ground.
Okay.
So I've started with the last question. So the first question is, we've had like a lot of people coming up with different information, different data. And when you look at the report from company A to company B, it's incomparable. Different information, different data sets, you get it. So in one, if I can pick a region, maybe I'm picking like, I'm still picking in Nairobi because we are seated in Nairobi.
Yeah.
And in Nairobi, you see today Governor A is leading. Then in another report the same day, Governor B is leading. So it all goes to methodology and credibility of who is conducting that.
Yeah.
Because allow me to put a disclaimer, and
Yes.
it's not like I'm really bringing ourselves up,
Yeah.
but it's just to say research is not for everybody. Opinion poll is not for everybody.
Yes.
These are trained scientists.
Yes.
They know how to do it.
Okay.
Because if right now I brought for you data, I told you analyze this, and I want you to come up with significance difference. I want you to come out with margin of error. I want you to extrapolate to the population. I mean, you'll be asking me, Pauline, why are you talking rocket science to me?
Yes.
But you see, we went to school. We were trained. Yeah.
do that.
And you see those
Yeah.
opinion pollsters, you'll ask them a question, and they will take you to how they collected the data from the ground. They can actually map it and tell you, in this region, the margin of error is like this.
Yeah.
These are the people we talked to. And also the sample size forms a very important
Yes.
part of the discussion. I cannot talk to, if for instance, Nairobi has 4 million people. I cannot purport to talk to 50 and say that those 50 is a representation of what the Nairobi people think.
Yeah.
No, it has to be a representative sample.
Yes.
I mentioned in this forum that we have a margin of error. So I need to know that in terms of all demographics I've
Yes.
addressed.
Yes.
If in Nairobi the women are like 60%, then my end sample size should have 60% female,
Yes.
40% male. In terms of age, the way age is divided,
Yes.
it should be mapped back to the population.
Okay.
So we need to be careful in looking at, as Kenyans, to look at who is telling us this particular, who is giving us these particular results. Are they credible?
Yes.
Are they registered under Marketing and Social Research Association? Are they a member of NACOSTI? Yes. So we need to ask ourselves like that.
Yeah.
Because right now, we'll hear a lot of mushrooming.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Everybody will be an expert of opinion polls. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Would you have any advice to the Kenyan voter that you can use as your parting shot?
I think the most important things as Kenyans, this is our country. We will make or break this country during this time. And majority of us experienced what we had in 2007. We don't want to go back there. 2002, 2007. So for us is to be advocates of peace. Even when we are sharing this information, let's ask ourselves, is it credible? What impact is it going to make when I share this information? Refrain from sharing information that is not credible. Refrain from utterances that will hurt another person. One thing we forget is that even our political leaders, their friends, their political partners. So when I'm behind here fighting with you as my neighbor, they're up there building their business empires. So what we need to do is hold hands, ensure Kenya is a good place for our own generation, our children and their children. And more to that, trust in God, pray, and ask God to guide us and to grace us, and actually to pray for peace for this particular country during this particular time.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yes.
Pauline. Thank you for your time.
Yes.
And well said.
Okay.
I think that's a good way for us to wrap this up. Thank you for joining us for Inform Kenya, and please do join us in our next session as we continue to just educate ourselves in preparation for the August 22 elections. And remember, be responsible to your country in these matters. God bless you.